Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. As we celebrate the 75th anniversary of India's independence on August 15, India at 75, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, there are milestone events that have been organized all around in New York in iconic venues by the Consulate General of India in New York, along with the Indo-American Arts Council, showcasing India's rich cultural heritage and its vibrant democracy as a multicultural, diverse, and an inclusive nation. Festival of Indian Music will take place from August 13th to the 15th at Carnegie Hall, and it will showcase iconic artists and musicians. Thanks to the Consul General of India in New York, Ambassador Randeep Jaiswal, and Dr. Nirmal Mattu of the Indo-American Arts Council for organizing this series. And today, my guests are the ones who will be performing at the grand finale in the series on August 15th, none other than the legendary sarod grandmaster, Ustad AmjadAliKhan ji. Namaste.
Namaskar.
Good to see you again. Along with one of his sons, the sarod virtuoso, Ayaan Ali Bardosh. Namaste, Ayaan.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Arman could not make it, but I'm sure you're going to be speaking on his behalf as well. And joining them is Lidiya Yankovskaya. She's the artistic director for the Refugee Orchestra project that brings all the refugees together on a global platform and bringing the significant role that refugees play in music. So thank you, Lidiya, for joining. Das Vedanya. Greetings.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for having me today. It's so great to be here.
Thank you. AmjadAliKhan, of course, you don't need any introduction. You know, I've interviewed you many times. I had the fortune of doing that. Let's talk about your concert, Samagam, concerto for 3 sarods, and I believe there's going to be 12 ragas. And this is along with the Refugee Orchestra project. So let's hear it from you, Consul.
I would like to share that I'm so happy the present chairman of Indo-American Arts Council, Dr. Nirmal Mattu.
Yes.
So, Dr. Mattu has given so much time and so much, love and passion for art and culture. And I'm grateful to my Consulate General, Mr. Randeep Jaiswal of New York. So it is a great celebration. India's celebrating 75 years of independence. And also, we are very grateful to our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, that he is encouraging art and culture, and he's celebrating this 75 years of India. So because Indian classical music was always free, we improvise. So there is a relationship with, there's something in common with jazz music. Jazz has the freedom of improvisation the way they want. They use the 12 notes the way they want. But, the freedom is always better with discipline. So this is the message of our Indian classical music, that we are free to improvise, but within the discipline. There are so many, we maintain the ascending and the rule of ascending and descending. If it is 5-note rag, Bhupali, sa re ga pa da sa da pa ga re sa da ta re ga pa da sa pa da ga pa re ga sa re. So we keep improvising within the discipline of the rag. Sometimes we have 5 notes in ascending, 7 notes in descending. So it's a various kind of ragas, various kind of melodies. And to perform in Carnegie Hall is a great honor and privilege for every musician of the world. And I'm very happy that there are our government, our Consul General, Dr. Mattu, they have invited the brilliant young musicians from India, Kaushiki Chakrabarti and Rakesh Chaurasia and Purbain Chatterjee, and Aman Ali Bangash, Ayaan Ali Bangash. You know, Bangash is our family surname. So I did not use it, but my wife, Subbalakshmi ji, she thought there are too many Khan in the world of music. So it was her desire that Aman should carry on this Bangash surname. So as you know, sarod is a Persian word. Like sitar also is a Persian word. Sehtar, teen tar ka baja. And sarod, the meaning of sarod is music. Nagma, tarannum. And so I think, I hope we have a good audience. I hope we have appreciative audience. We always look forward to perform in Carnegie Hall.
Of course, whenever you perform, I mean, I get goosebumps. It is so captivating. And you have many times said, you know, you have to surrender to music. Music is life. And you know, and you recapture the spiritual power of music. And that's what we're going to see on August 15th.
Old timers like my father, my guru,
yes,
they believe that you can't do everything in one lifetime. So he thought whether you understand the sound and music or you understand the language, you can't do both, according to the old timers. So my father was not very keen that I should go to school. According to him, it was like waste of time. Do your riyaz, do your sadhana, understand the depth of music. So, you know, this is amazing in our Indian classical music, the way we have this mean, slides and glides.
yes.
So I'm very happy that Lidiya has understood the gravity and the seriousness and good or bad points of Indian classical music. We always look forward to work with Lidiya, and she is very, very, you know, talented, outstanding, brilliant musician, and the musicians of this Refugee Orchestra, young musicians, very energetic and very, very talented. So I'm happy that we are all collectively presenting this Samagam on the 15th of August.
Kansa, tell me, I mean, you know, as you mentioned, Hindustani classical music, Indian classical music is, there's so much of spontaneity and improvisation. Many times, you know, when you get on stage, that's when you decide what rag to play, depending on the mood of the audience. And here you're going to be collaborating with an orchestra. So it's a synthesis of two traditions, two different styles.
Yes. You see, so many our great musicians of India, they have composed orchestra, they have experience and collaborated. But this Samagam is something different than whatever has happened before, because Western European music is a very, very melody oriented. You know, if you listen to Beethoven, Bach, Mozart. So in our earlier projects, the maestros gave so much importance to the rhythm. Rhythm is important. I mean, all of us, we are born with sound and rhythm. Our heartbeat is an indication of rhythm. And what we speak, conversation, recitation, chanting, they're all part of music. So in this Samagam, you will, I have not announced the names of the ragas, it's not very important. But every piece is a raga. And it's a melody. From the beginning to the end, you will experience many melodies, many ragas, and we have concluded with Rag Bhairavi,
Wow.
which is our most beautiful. Sada Sohagan kehte hain Bhairavi ko. So, and you know the word you used just now, Hindustani. I'm not very happy to, you know, comment I don't ever produce Hindustani and Carnatic because music is music.
Yes, yes.
Karnataka is a state, but in South India, we have four states in South, and everything is not Karnataka. So there are great musicians from Andhra, there are great musicians from Kerala and Karnataka. And so I always feel the time has come that we must understand the unity. I mean, we are using the same note, but language creates barriers because most of the South Indian compositions in appreciation of Lord Ganesha, Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and Devis and all that. So I feel instead of, because everything is Hindustani, everything. So I feel we must, time has come to address Indian classical music of South and Indian classical music of North.
I think AmjadAliKhan said something really important about how music is music, and ultimately all music is made up of rhythm and melody and pitch, and some emotional is something that we add to it that is maybe outside of those technical things in addition to it. But one of the reasons that I think we've had such a great collaboration, especially with Refugee Orchestra Project, is that the musicians of the Refugee Orchestra Project themselves come from all over the world and come from all different musical traditions. Most of them, and the players in this concert will all have been trained in the classical, Western classical style, but they themselves, many of them are also improvisers in different genres. We have, for instance, a wonderful violist named Lidiya, who is a composer and a klezmer performer and an improviser, has an interesting instrument that he plays, an unusual instrument called a fandolin that is a mix between a violin and a viola. We have other people with jazz or popular music backgrounds. And I think it's also important to remember that Western European classical music, the European classical music came out of an improvisatory tradition. That in the times of Mozart and Beethoven, all of the composers, all of the performers were themselves improvisers. Sadly, over time, that part of it, that aspect of it has been largely lost. But that is a loss to the tradition, and that is a loss to this style of music. So I think infusing Western classical music with Western European classical music, infusing European classical music with Indian classical music brings back something that we've lost. I think that's very, very important, because music is about self-expression, and part of that self-expression may be some of these things that are planned, particular ragas or particular structures within the music, but part of it has to be what you bring to the moment, and some of that is interpretation, some of that is improvisation. And with this piece in particular, one of the things that I find really impressive is just the way that AmjadAliKhan has been able to use these Western instruments in a way that is very authentic, both to the European tradition and to the Indian tradition, that he's not forcing himself into some sort of box or what orchestral music should be. Even the way the instrument groups are separated is quite unusual for an orchestra, but it works exceptionally well for this style of music. And I think it allows the two to come together in this very organic way that is so powerful and so moving, and is also a very powerful experience for all of us who are performing this, because ultimately we get on the stage and I know the first time I took on this project, I thought, well, I don't know very much about Indian classical music. I started researching, listening to all of the recordings that were produced, but I'm not an expert on this. How am I going to conduct this? But ultimately you get on that stage and you realize that we all share something, and that with music, you don't need to speak the same language. And that is the beautiful power of what we do.
Absolutely. It's right.
I feel all the musicians of the world, we are like a family, because we are using the same do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and our expressions are different, our way of presentation is different. But we, this relationship of musicians is much deeper and thicker than even a blood. blood relationship.
How you're sharing the stage with your father. You have shared the stage with your brother and your father for over 2 decades. And here
Right.
again, you come back, and this time it's in collaboration with Western music. And as Lidiya said, there was improvisation during Mozart time and Beethoven, and somewhere we got to reclaim it back again. But tell us, how you feel being part of such a, great celebration here.
Well, it's actually indeed quite a moment for me personally, and also my brother, because when they were celebrating India's 50th year of independence, that was my first time at Isaac's turn at Carnegie Hall. And I was only 17, so I'm very blessed that thanks to my father, I got an opportunity to sit on that stage so early in my life. So now here we are celebrating 75 years. So it's indeed feels like maybe not a full circle, but at least a semicircle,
Yes.
or at least a quarter of a circle. So yeah, it's such an honor just to be a part of this festival, and also to perform my father's concerto, and it makes it even more magical when Lidiya is conducting it. We've known Lidiya for, I think, over 7-8 years now, and we worked with the Chicago Philharmonic with her, and also we had a very momentous concert on the UN Day.
Yes.
With Lidiya, and so that's why every concert has been extremely memorable. So I'm so happy we are doing this together, and obviously it's really a very powerful and important message that we are, I think, conveying through music, which is most needed today, about how music has no borders, it has no boundaries, and end of the day, we are inculcating the message of love, peace, and harmony, which is again, I think, the need of the hour today.
Yes.
Even though, and I think the world, it's literally a second half for the world. I mean, after what we all went through, after the pandemic happened. So at many levels, I think a lot is being conveyed. There are many layers to so many things. But music, I feel very blessed that we are musicians, and through music, we are able to communicate this at so many levels.
And I think in this Festival of Indian Music, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's principles of peace and nonviolence and truth.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we are spreading this message of love,
You
through
must have
music, which has no borders.
You must have heard us, giving our homage to Mahatma Gandhi by playing Vaishnav Janato and Ramdhun, all that. You see, COVID and pandemic has been so tragic. I mean, so much has been lost, and all the creative people, all the musicians, for 2 years, 3 years, we were sitting at home, and so there we have lost something, and we have gained something. We have realized something. We have realized our own self in those 2 years, and for me, the greatest happiness was that my grandchildren, they are twin brothers, they
Yes.
started playing sarods.
Yes.
Ayaan has two twin sons, and Ayaan gave them a lot of time because their schools were closed.
And I was home.
So Zohan and Abir, right? Zohan and Abir,
Yes.
the twin boys?
Yes. They just turned 10 recently, so they're making some noise, but they have to practice. They have to work hard.
So you tell me, you also have created a distinct style, though you're rooted in the tradition of your father and your grandfather and, the lineage that is going on. But you have, and your brother, Armand, you have brought out your own distinctive style. Are you going to see that the sound of the future, that's your twin boys, they're also going to follow their father, grandfather's footsteps, their uncle's footsteps, and yet create a style that is, with the present age and at the same time rooted in tradition?
I mean, right now I'm just teaching them because music is the greatest wealth we have in our family. What
Yes.
they do is entirely up to them. There's no pressure from my side. But obviously, I'll be happy and thrilled if they continue working hard and practicing. But again, it's a call they should take. My brother and I always, even in our journey, I mean, we're very blessed that we have a father and a guru like my father, who always allowed us to believe in our musical sensibilities. He did not ask us to follow any rule book. He said, listen, listen, absorb, absorb. So that's why we didn't sit down and start our journey that let's do something different. That was not the intention. We, did what we were taught, and while you were doing that, perhaps unknowingly,
Right.
you end up taking, routes and journeys which have different musical sensibilities. So we've done a whole lot of collaborations, even obviously with orchestras, with soloists, and also more recently with a lot of electronic music as well. We recently released an album called Sand and Foam with an artist called Kabir Sehgal that is more leaning towards jazz. But again, we always like doing things outside the box. And I think as musicians, that's something that keeps us going and keeps us inspiring. And you're learning till the last day you walk this planet. I mean, the learning never stops.
Yes.
Ayaan, please tell about the collaboration with Sharon Isbin, Joe Walsh, and Almira. You can explain that.
I mean, I think these are the recent collaborations, which my brother and I were very fortunate to be a part of, which my father did. We recently performed in Aspen, this project called Strings for Peace. And that project released actually during the lockdown. So with Sharon Isbin. So we have a whole lot of concerts later in the year and early next year as well. Mm-hmm. And the other project, I think, again, which my father and, Joe Walsh, the Eagle rock star, they did together. And they called it Prayers. And it was dedicated to frontline workers and doctors. Mm. So, yeah, these were the more recent things. But again, it's just so wonderful to get back on stage with Lidiya, and she's extremely busy and she's spinning around the world. But I'm so glad she's with us on this momentous occasion of 15th August.
And tell us, you also have done curated and produced We for Love, which is a campaign that is providing social justice for children who have been sexually abused.
Yes. So yes, again, I was, my brother and I were very fortunate, again with my father. We performed when Kailash Satyarthi and Malala Yousafzai got the Nobel Peace Prize. And since that time, we really wanted to create more awareness about his campaign, Justice for Every Child, because, in India especially, it's a very sad reality, but not many people want to talk about it because it is not something, people really want to get into or talk about. But the reality is that, it's a very big issue in India today. And we felt I think after I became a parent, I felt more passionate about this cause. So we made an EP together, which had a whole lot of artists. It had my father, then it had Mahesh Kale, Malini Awasthi, our friend Karan Johar. He also, spoke in one of the tracks. And then there was Karsh Kale. So, it was just a collective coming. And there was Shubha Mudgalji also. It was just a collective coming together of all these artists. And we just wanted to raise awareness and create awareness so that people donate to this cause and, make sure that kids get justice at the right, at a time when it's most needed, because it's literally taking their childhood away from them. So,
we are grateful to Mr. Kailash Satyarthi.
Yes.
Yes.
And Khan Sahab, you performed so many places. I think one that comes to my mind is the Peace Prize concert was the shortest concert, I believe.
This was the, amazing request. They just wanted us to perform for 5 minutes.
Right.
And for that 5 minutes, they must have spent crores of rupees, to bringing us to Norway and this and that and hospitality. My first reaction was, what can I do in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
But that was a challenge.
Wow.
Then Aman, Ayaan, all of us I said, what can we do in 5 minutes? So we planned, but that 5 minutes, the whole world, I think, could watch and see and experience.
dani dim tana tanum tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tanum tananum taderena 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 tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tana na 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 dim tana na 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 tana na 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 dim tana tananum tananum tarane tananum tadare dani takir dum kir tak tak tere ga 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 klan da klan da klan tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tanana tana tana
We have to respect the time. Sometimes we are given half an hour, so it should be half an hour or 15 minutes, because sense of proportion is most important.
Yes.
And music has to be appealing, whether it is 5 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour, because we come, the audience have such expectations from the artists, from the musicians. Because in our country, music is not just entertainment, it's a way of life.
Yes.
And Swar hi Ishwar hai. This is what our ancestors, our senior great musicians often said, that Swar hi Ishwar hai. Music has connected the world, and through music we cannot manipulate. If I'm out of tune, you will come to know. But through language, the whole world is manipulating. The whole world is enjoying. Language is like a weapon. So, but I'm grateful to God that we live in the world of sound. Sound is really very, very precious, and music is very precious to us.
Lidiya, would you like to mention about the medley part, which is quite interesting in the concerto? Where all the solo principal players are improvising. I think you must share that experience.
Yes, there's one section in the concerto, and where the principal players are invited to improvise, and we've actually had sometimes non-principal players also jump in, because European musicians who are trained in the European tradition, some of them, as I mentioned, may be very comfortable improvising, many of them are not. And one of the things that I've loved that's happened through these improvisations is usually in the rehearsal, I'll ask the players at the first rehearsal, I'll say, who's comfortable improvising, who's really interested in improvising in the moment. And one of the things that has come out of that is we'll get on the stage and someone might come who comes from an improvisatory tradition, but a different improvisatory tradition. And they'll have this dialogue back and forth with Amjad or Ayaan or Ayaan in the moment. And that is so beautiful in itself, so powerful, because it's two different musical languages often, but it doesn't matter. It's two different musical languages. And again, because it is music, following up on what AmjadAliKhan just said, because it is music, that doesn't matter. And those two languages can have a conversation with each other. And as an audience member in the moment, I think that's really powerful to listen to as well, because you can hear these two styles colliding into one, having a dialogue, having a conversation, reacting to one another, listening, reacting, changing, and morphing as they react to one another. And I think in general, that's just a beautiful metaphor for what music is capable of, but also what humanity is capable of if we really take the time to listen, if we really take the time to synthesize, to understand, to react, and to bring into ourselves and make a part of ourselves what we learn from others.
Absolutely. I think music is so transformative. It awakens your sensibilities and really gets you deep into the world with your music, and you can talk about the issues. So I know that the Refugee Orchestra project is going to be playing for about 30-40 minutes that day. And
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Yes.
And then AmjadAliKhan ji will be performing solo, and then Ayaan and Arman ji will be performing together. And then in the end, all three together.
Yes. I think all of us, all the musicians of the world, we are committed to the peace and harmony. And this recent Russia and Ukraine, what is going on, we are very sad about it. We feel sad. I hope this war is, stopped. And I often felt that 21st century will be very peaceful, very harmonious. But unfortunately, this is the worst time of our life. That even today, people are killing each other on account of religion. And thank God, music does not belong to any religion. Like flowers, air, water, fire, fragrance, colors, they don't belong to any religion. And but even education could not help. Education could not create compassion and kindness in a human being. How can PhD be communal? How can PhD be radical? So this is very sad. I think the medical world should introduce some tablet to make people compassionate and kind. I think because there is a tablet for everything. Now we have a tablet for COVID also. And it's my appeal to the medical world that please create some tablets, some kind of medicine that the human being should become kind, compassionate. Raham dil, beraham log bahut ho gaye pehle.
Yes.
So we feel very sad about it.
I would argue that music, and especially making music to some extent, is that medicine. If
I
only
think so,
people embraced it and acknowledged it. I actually just yesterday was in a conversation with a colleague who's a singer. He's an opera singer. He lives in Odessa, and he has for a long time sung in the opera house in Odessa in Ukraine. And the opera house in Odessa was one of the first to reopen in Ukraine. And he said to me, we're performing now only Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we only get between 500, 750 people at each performance. He says only, but in reality, given how many people have left the country, the fact that they're afraid for their lives, the sorts of things that they're living through, the fact that everyone still has this need to go, and in this case, to the opera, but to hear music and to hear storytelling through music and to be a part of it, because music has the power, I think, to heal us emotionally and otherwise, and to connect us and to ground us at a time when things are in turmoil.
Because there are so many brilliant musicians in Russia, so many brilliant musicians in Ukraine also. We played Moscow Symphony Orchestra, we played there. And the audience in Russia is so, loving, so kind. They bring gifts for the musicians. I mean, the audience bring the gift. And Ukraine, I believe there are so many Ukrainian musicians also performing all over the world now. So,
and our master for this concert is Ukrainian, the violinist who will be playing the principal.
Oh, wonderful! Wonderful! Wonderful!
How many musicians are in the orchestra?
I believe it's 20, if I'm saying that correctly. I believe it's 20.
I see.
Yeah.
And Renee, you have known the Khan family for 7-8 years. Are you thinking of learning Hindustani classical music or playing the sarod?
Oh, well, I have since meeting the Khan family.
How many musicians are in the orchestra?
I believe it's 20, if I'm saying that correctly. I believe it's 20.
I see.
Yeah.
And Renee, you have known the Khan family for 7-8 years. Are you thinking of learning Hindustani classical music or playing the sarod?
Oh, well, I have since meeting the Khan family, I have been learning as much as I can about Indian classical music. I'm afraid it's probably too late for me to take up the sarod.
No. It's not late.
And hearing the AmjadAliKhan and Ayaan and Ayaan play the sarod, I feel like it is even touching it feels like too much, but it is wonderful to learn about it and to be a part of this collaboration. That it's an honor and a privilege, because obviously these are some of the greatest masters in the world.
That's right. And AmjadAliKhan ji, you're famous for the Ekharatan. If you can just demonstrate, I don't know, with your vocals, how that's done.
Sarod, in every era, there were great sarod players in my father's generation. Earlier to my father, sarod was now Aman and they are the 7th generation, as you know, playing the sarod. And from my childhood, when I started listening to other great sarod players, so I wanted to I always discussed with my father, my guru, that I want to sing through the sarod. I'm not playing sarod, I sing through the instrument.
Yes.
So that was my struggle of life. This flow was missing in the instrument. And what you said, Ikaratan, it's a Urdu word. Ikara means single. Single stroke, single note. Da 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 da. So the fast tan was not attempted, it was not played on sarods. Only the sitar player, when I heard the duet of sarod and sitar, so the sitar player could do the fast tan, but sarod could not do that. Sarod players were using double stroke and single note like that. So that was a big obstacle, which from my childhood, if you listen to my recordings, so you will see the journey of my life. Gama pada gama ga re sa ni da pa da ni sa re ga ma ga re ga ma pa ga ma re ga re pa ma pa ga ma re ga da 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 Rag Durga. Da 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 da. Da ba ma re sa da pa pa sa re ma sa re sa da pa da sa re sa re ma re pa ma re sa re ma pa da sa pa da ma pa re pa ma re sa da sa. So this is tan. ये गहरा तान इसको इंस्ट्रूमेंट में कहते हैं. But you see, I wanted to play exactly like my father. With great blessings of the Guru, you create your own world. Like Aman and Ayaan, they have their own way of, Ayaan has created his own world. Aman has created his own world. So one should not be carbon copy of the Guru. But there are so many musicians. In one gharana, they play alike. It's difficult to know who's playing, whether it is father or the son. So I did not create my identity. You can't create your own style. The style comes with the blessings of the Guru, with the blessings of the God Almighty. So I didn't try to create two identical AmjadAliKhan. So Ayaan has his own approach of music, Aman has his own approach of music. And that is, and it's a long journey. One has to walk like elephant with dignity and grace.
That's right.
So Dr. Mehrra, I hope you're coming for the concert, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Of course, I remember the UN concert. That was amazing. It was like so captivating when both you and your brother and Amjad actually performed. It was like the most amazing concert I'd ever heard. So
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And your sons, Ayaan, Ali, they are the sounds of the future. They are the sound of the music. And when we go back to ancient traditions, during the 16th century poet musician Tansing time, when he performed Rag Malhar, actually rain, there were torrential rains. Can we capture that same essence of that music and bring that spiritual power of music that was there that time with you, AmjadAliKhan ji, and your grandfather and your father and the whole generations? Can we keep it going in the sounds of future?
You see, the legendary singer Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, in a lighter moment, he says, as you mentioned, that Tansen sang Malhar and it rained there. So Bhimsen ji said, nowadays when we sing Malhar, all the rain stops. It's not the same effect, because the sadhana, because Tansen also had a spiritual guru, Hazrat Muhammad Ghaus. So I'm very fortunate that I'm born in Gwalior, where Mia Tansen was born, and his grave is in Gwalior. And my ancestral house, which has been converted into a museum, it's called Sarod Ghar. So if you are in Delhi or Agra, you must visit Gwalior. And because we have instruments of all the great masters and all the great musicians, they have donated their instruments to Sarod Ghar. Pandit Kishan Maharaj has given his Guru's tabla. Ustad Zakir Hussain has given Mia Qadir Bakhsh tabla to our Sarod Ghar. Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, Swar Mandal is in our Sarod Ghar. Ustad Alauddin Khan Sahab, he was a violinist also. He played sarod, but also great violin player. So his violin is in our Sarod Ghar. So, so this is what, our treasure of great memories of great musicians. I would like all of you to visit Gwalior And my forefathers, they were court musicians in Gwalior. And sometime we all go, and every year we honor great musicians with the award, Hafiz Ali Khan Award. There are so many clips on YouTube, Hafiz Ali Khan Awards or Sarod, you will see all of our previous functions there.
Wow. Well, thank you so very much. We could have gone on forever because, you know, when you listen to Ustad AmjadAliKhan ji, the great legend, performing, you just want him to continue. So we hope you keep coming back to New York, Kanji, because this is what we need. We need that music to heal and music to nourish and nurture ourselves. And that's what music has done.
I really feel very proud to see in America the achievements of our NRIs. I mean, every city, whether Chicago or New York or California. So America has been so lucky for so many people. And especially New York is the capital of the world, I think. And all the musicians keep coming. And there's a great, and this institution, this organization, Indo-American Arts Council,
yes,
and I have great expectations from them because Dr. Mattu is the chairman of that organization. Mr. Taranjit,
yes,
Singh Sandhuji, and our Consulate General, Mr. Randhir Jaiswalji.
Yes.
So we all collectively, we have to encourage our art and culture and let the world experience our music, our way of life.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. It is really great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank our ambassador, Consulate General of India in New York, as well as, of course, the Indo-American Arts Council. We expect a lot from this concert in collaboration with the Refugee Orchestra project. So we hope there'll be more projects like this and be able to see such a great treat for the eyes and the ears. Thank you so much. Celebrating India at 75, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. Thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay positive.